Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Vocal Mentality Educational Series. I am Dr. Samke Ngobo, a medical doctor who is also living with bipolar disorder. As I always say, I am not suffering from mental illness, but I am thriving despite it. The purpose of this platform is to also share my tools of lived experience, but also my professional knowledge so that you are also empowered and supported in your journey. You may be living with mental illness and are trying to find ways to support yourself. Or you may be a loved one of somebody navigating mental illness and want to know how to best support them. The other category is that you might be somebody who just simply wants to understand and learn more because mental health and mental wellness is topical nowadays and we all need to be empowered. In the previous episode, I was unpacking my experience of experiencing a relapse. I then shared with you my experience of incapacity leave that was caused by my illness that resulted in cognitive impairment. Cognitive impairment meaning that the functioning of my brain was impaired because of my illness. I shared that for 6 months of my life, I had to be booked off work due to incapacity. The illness had really taken its toll on me. For many years, I've navigated my illness, but never had it disabled me at the level that it did at the time. I learned a lot about myself, but I just want to highlight something I said in the previous recording, and that is, how does it feel to return from a hospital admission and having to catch up with life when life has been moving and hasn't stopped for you? I described the analogy of a train that is continuously moving. You're discharged from hospital and you have to jump on a moving train essentially. Everyone is carrying on with their lives, but you have to pick up the pieces, messy pieces of your life and try to function well. That is what it feels like. Well, that is how it feels for me. So in this episode, I want to share with you what does bipolar recovery, support, and care look like? What does the management look like? How do you thrive despite the mental illness? Because the reality is that it can be debilitating and is debilitating if not well managed. So one may wonder, what did the 6 months of my recovery look like? One thing I can share for sure is that it looked nothing close to glamour. It looked ugly, it looked messy, and it looked undoable and impossible. I did not think I would bounce back or come out from that episode. I was devastated, clouded by shame, clouded by the humiliation of the stigma attached to my illness, and how exposed I felt. I was devastated. I did not know how to pick up the pieces of my life, but I knew I had to eventually. One thing I have to highlight in my explanation of this is how instrumental psychotherapy was and how important it was for me to relate with my psychiatrist. Their support was immeasurable, and also the support of my loved ones. I could not have made it out alone, and that is why I have to highlight the importance of care and support. I grieved, and this is something that people don't talk about when it comes to relapse. Grieving the episode, acknowledging the fact that you're back at square one in a way, having to pick up the pieces. It's difficult, but you can bounce back. When we use the word bounce back, we make it sound as if one just emerges rapidly from a state of dysfunction to optimal functioning. The reality is that it is a process, a long and difficult process, but it is doable. So how did my days look during this time? After this time of grief and devastation, I eventually had to come out of that space and get into better functioning. I needed the support of my loved ones and the support of the mental team that was supporting me. The occupational therapist did online sessions with me and helped put structure into my day, because initially I would sleep the whole day because I was struggling so much with the pain and devastation and being overwhelmed with what I had to do with my life going forward. My identity had changed and I knew it. The humiliation had crippled me, and I didn't know how to navigate my life going forward. The journey was difficult, But with the help and support of this team, I was managing to get back to my normal functioning. One of the biggest things that I had to learn was to maximize on what I was strong and good at. I sat down and asked myself, what if I don't return to my previous level of functioning? What will my world and life look like? Those are the tough questions I had to ask myself, and I had to devise answers to. What if I don't return as a high functioning doctor? What would I have to do with my life? I sat down and I would journal. I would also list the things that I'm strong at. My relapse happened during the time of COVID-19. We were on lockdown during that time, and the limitation of movement was a reality because I had thought I would go to different places to recreate as well, but that wasn't possible. So I was stuck in the house and had to devise ways of recreating and also stimulating myself during that time. The help of family was very important. They would check up on me, and I would have regular follow-up with my psychiatrist and my psychologist online during that time. I had to sit down and ask myself, Samke, what are you good at? I realized that I'm gifted at writing, I'm gifted at speaking, I'm gifted at connecting with people and sharing, but I didn't know how I would harness those tools and abilities in order to continue with my functioning. When I had the report from the occupational therapist that I could return to my functioning and the recommendations thereof, I had to devise a way to maximize on the knowledge gained as a medical professional. I knew that a high-pressured environment was not suitable for me, so I had to change the way I function. I had to devise a way that I could be creative in using my medical knowledge, using my gifts as well, in order to feel that I have a fulfilled life, but also know that I don't have to have my skills left to waste. I realized that the life of somebody living with mental illness is not fully understood. So I decided to write Reflections of a Convoluted Mind, a journey with my mental illness, because I felt that medical jargon becomes overwhelming at times, and it's very important for us to get into the world and life of somebody who navigates mental illness in a language that they can understand, and also for the loved ones to understand the inner world of somebody navigating in mental illness. This is Reflections of a Convoluted Mind, a journey with my mental illness. This is my love letter to people living with mental illness. It is a love letter to families who are struggling with loved ones who live with mental illness as well. It's also to empower and educate communities in order to know how to best support and understand the lived experience, while also providing understandable medical knowledge and support. During my incapacity leave, a large portion of it was immensely overwhelming. My self-esteem was in tatters and I was overwhelmed. I did not know how to bounce back from where I was. I realized that my previous identity no longer existed, but I didn't know how to move forward. I then had to devise a way where my skills and strengths were harnessed while using my academic knowledge in a useful way. I then carved out this path for myself that was new, but I realized that my purpose was also birthed in this way. In comes vocal mentality. It's there for me, it's there for you. The reason why vocal mentality exists is that I found a gap for people with lived experience to feel empowered, to feel supported, to feel seen. One of the greatest things that I find in vocal mentality is the fact that you don't come from a low place in your life only, but you come from an empowered place as well. It's to educate, it's to empower, it's to feel seen, it's to acknowledge the struggle while also saying you don't have to remain in it. As I always say, you do not have to suffer from mental illness, but you can thrive despite it. I am living proof that you don't have to suffer from mental illness. The journey is not easy, but it is doable. Today, I am an author, I'm an international speaker, I relate with corporates and schools and communities, and I share about my journey. I've tackled stigma using my gifts and talents. I don't have to have a journey of suffering only, but it is a journey of hope and empowerment. So how does my sustained wellness looks like? I believe that it's important for me to share it because oftentimes people see the surface level of where I am today and they assume that maybe I've recovered from bipolar disorder. But the reality is that the illness is still present, but I have ways of managing it with the support of professionals. I want to first highlight the care and support of the team that manages me. I have a psychiatrist that I see on a 6 weekly basis for follow up. This is to prevent relapse. She often says that if we don't see each other for a long time, too many things can happen and then the issues become compounded. So I see her on a regular basis, more regular than other people may necessarily have to see their psychiatrists. Secondly, I see my psychologist on a weekly basis. I realize that not everybody is able to do that and it's not feasible at times, but this is something I've prioritized in my life to always see my psychologist at this rate. The care and support of my loved ones is immeasurable. I am supported so well by my friends and family. They are able to identify red flags and make me aware of them. It was difficult for me to hear feedback from them when they're noticing changes in my life and how I function. I've learned to embrace their feedback because it helps prevent a full-on relapse. For example, if I'm leaving a voice note that is not 3 minutes long, maybe it's longer than that, it's 10 minutes long, they become worried and ask me why I'm speaking for so long. If, for example, I am awake at 3 in the morning, when they know that my medication takes effect at 9 o'clock, they will ask me why I'm still awake. What I'm trying to highlight is that there's a safety net that protects me. So as much as you see things on surface level, the reality is that there's an inner working, a working engine behind the scenes that helps me remain supported and cared for. It's important to highlight that bipolar disorder is a lifelong illness. I have not been cured of bipolar disorder. That's a reality I've had to make peace with and safeguard. And from that place, I can be empowered. One of the other things that I've really found to be important is to take better care of myself as well through diet and exercise. Medication is very important. So I take medication twice a day and also take an injectable monthly. As you can hear, many things are in place to help me remain supported. And also engaging with the things that keep me thriving. My spiritual life is important to me. Writing is important. And also speaking is also important to me. In the next episode, I will highlight the importance of my support structure and what that support looks like. Until next time.